performers and audience members, we would like to remind you that the use of cameras and recording equipment is not permitted during the performance. We also ask that you please turn off all cell phones and electronic devices at this time. We hope you enjoy the performance.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is McQuade Dewhirst. I'm on the music faculty here at the Sharon J. Rush Institute of Music here at UW Green Bay, and I coordinate the 6:30 concert series. This is our first event of the season. We're so happy to have you with us. Tonight is called Words in Music, and I love this event. This is the second time we've done something like this. I love this event because it's so collaborative. We bring together actors, writers, musicians, and we make something new. And that's my favorite thing about this event, is that each of the acts that you'll see tonight are a result of collaboration, of some give and take, and just a creative outpouring that makes something new that wasn't here before. So I'm really excited to share all of this with you. I've had the privilege of collaborating on 2 projects this evening, and the first one is our first performance of the evening. I'd like to invite my colleague Tom Campbell to the stage. You're over here. I looked in the wrong direction. And we've had a great time putting this together. This is a monologue from Long Day's Journey into Night, and I am providing a little bit of atmospheric background music to enhance what Tom is doing. And I'm going to let him adjust the microphone for his purposes and get settled, and we'll start the show. Thank you for being here.
For Christ's sake, Papa, forget it. Yes, she moves above and beyond us. A ghost haunting the past, and here we sit, pretending to forget, but straining our ear for the slightest sound, hearing the fog drip from the eaves, like the uneven tick of a run-down crazy clock, or the dreary tears of a trollop spattering in a puddle of stale beer on a honky-tonk tabletop. Pretty good, that last one, right? Mine, not Baudelaire. You've told me some of your memories. Want to hear mine? They're all connected to the sea. Here's one. When I was on the square rigger bound for Buenos Aires, full moon in the trades, the old hooker driving 14 knots. I lay on the bowsprit, facing astern, with the water foaming into spume under me. The mast with every sail white in the moonlight, towering high above me. I became drunk with the beauty and the singing rhythm of it, and for a moment I lost myself, actually lost my life. I was set free. I dissolved in the sea, became white sails and flying spray, became beauty and rhythm, became moonlight in the ship and the high, dim, starred sky. I belonged, without past or future, within peace and unity and a wild joy within something greater than my own life or the life of man, to life itself, to God, if you want to put it that way. Then another time on the American line, when I was lookout in the crow's nest at the dawn watch, a calm sea that time. Only a lazy groundswell and a slow, drowsy roll of the ship. The passengers asleep and none of the crew in sight, no sound of man, and black smoke pouring from funnels behind me, dreaming, not keeping lookout, and feeling alone and above and part, and watching the dawn creep like a painted dream over the sky and sea which slept together. Then the moment of ecstatic freedom came. The peace, the end of the quest, the last harbor, the joy of belonging to a fulfillment beyond men's lousy, pitiful, greedy fears and hopes and dreams. And several other times in my life, when I was swimming far out or lying on a beach, I've had the same experience. Became the sun, the hot sand, green seaweed anchored on a rock, just swaying in the tide, like a saint's vision of beatitude, like the veil of things as they seem drawn back by an unseen hand. And for a second, you see, and seeing the secret are the secret. For a second, there is meaning. Then the hand lets the veil fall, and you are alone, lost in the fog again. And you stumble on toward nowhere, for no good reason. It was a great mistake, me being born a man. I would have been much more successful as a seagull or a fish. As it is, I will be a stranger who never feels at home, who does not really want and is not really wanted, who can never belong, who must always be a little in love with death. Thank you.
Myself? Yes. Good evening. So happy to be here. This has been a wonderful project, wonderful experience. It took me some time to add my voice into this monologue. I decided to make it. You will hear music from different composers: Johann Sebastian Bach, David Lang, Alfred Schnickert, and John Corelliano, in order to enhance, using the word Michelle, enhance the monologue.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Stone Thornberry, and I'm performing a piece by an American playwright named Donald Marguiles. He won the Pulitzer Prize for Drama in 2000 for his play Dinner with Friends. doing? I bought a one-way ticket to Madison. I've never been to Wisconsin. I only know one person in the entire state. Is it cold this time of year? I didn't think. I just got on the plane with an overnight bag, just a change of undies and a toothbrush, practically. I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm going to see an old friend for a visit, but it's sort of a surprise. Well, no, I mean, it is a surprise because he doesn't know I'm coming. I hope he's there. I have an address, true, the letter's from 2006, but I'm hoping he hasn't moved around a lot. How big can Madison be? This was the letter I got from him congratulating me on my wedding. He said that by the time his mother forwarded the invitation to him, that it was too late for him to come, but it was okay because he didn't think he would have come anyway. If you pick Steve out of all the guys in the world, he must be one terrific guy, huh? Have a good life, Nancy. Be fruitful, etc. Remember me always, and I'll do the same for you, Billy. P.S. Save me a piece of wedding cake. Billy and I used to play married. Back in high school, we'd cut out and go to his house after his mother left for work. And we'd climb under the sheets of his parents' double bed and take off all our clothes and roll around each other. Oh, we never did it. He never tried. I took that as a sign of how much he loved me. But I'd lie on top of him, naked, and we'd talk about everything, everything. School, friends, Janis Joplin, mothers and fathers, and whisper and laugh and feel each other's breaths get hot. And we'd lie like that for hours till we were tired and sweaty, and then we'd take a shower together. We do that all the time, it seemed. Or maybe it was only a couple of times. But I'd wait for him outside of school in the mornings before I had to go into homeroom. I'd wait for him with my heart pounding in my ears, just hoping he would come along and whisk me off back to his parents' bed and take my clothes off and talk to me. He'd talk to me like nobody else before or since. The sound of his voice wrapped me up like a blanket. I could lay in his voice for hours, soft and warm, his breath on me. He had the littlest tush, Billy. His pants would hang down in the back where his tush should be. And he had these little brown eyes, but they really looked at you. You know, some people, even with very big eyes, they don't really look at you. I made him laugh. He told me I was beautiful. We slept on the beach one night before we graduated, Brighton Beach, under the boardwalk where the sand is cold and doesn't smell like sand. And you could see the moon through the slats of the boardwalk on the sand. You could hear somewhere out in the dark some kids going at it, and the ocean, and sometimes up above people walking and the wood creaking. And I lay on top of Billy with our clothes on, and whispered and laughed until we both fell asleep from all that wonderful talk. I woke up at that strange hour of the morning when the sky isn't quite morning yet, and you happen to be up when the streetlights click off. We didn't plan to fall asleep. It just happened. When I got home, it was 5:30, and my father was sitting in his chair in his underwear smoking a cigarette, and my mother was snoring on the sofa. My father was so mad at me that he didn't even yell. He cried. He sobbed. "How could you do this?" he said over and over again. "Nancy, Nancy, Nancy, how could you do this?" And I said, "I don't know what I'm doing." I wanted to tell him we were talking. We were just talking, me and Billy, but instead I told him I didn't know what I was doing. My father made it very hard for me to see Billy after that. We graduated, and I went to Brooklyn College, and he went upstate to Binghamton. The next time I saw him was Thanksgiving of our freshman year when he came home. I was with my family, and he was with his, and we were going into a Chinese restaurant on Ocean Avenue, and they were just leaving. We were like Romeo and Juliet, our parents muttering hellos and looking at each other funny as we passed, like we were the enemy. I thought I would die, that my heart would stop pumping and I would die. That night I called him and snuck out of the house and met him at the boardwalk. I didn't care what was going to happen, I just had to see him. He was stoned when he got there, and his little eyes were puffy and bloodshot. His beautiful voice was hoarse from all that smoke. He didn't sound like Billy anymore. We went under the boardwalk. I had so much to tell him, so much to talk to him about. It was November and freezing, not like it was in May. And he got on top of me this time. This time, he didn't want to talk. I can't blame him. It was my fault he was the way he was. If I'd stood up to my father and told him nothing had happened that night, if I'd only told him that all we did was talk, I would have still been allowed to see Billy, and he wouldn't have gotten stoned, and the thing that happened that night wouldn't have happened. I ran home hysterical. My father heard me crying and knocked on my door and asked very nicely, really, if I was all right. And he asked like he knew what had happened. But I wanted to tell him all about it anyway. And I didn't. And he went back to bed. This tall, skinny, sort of cute boy in my intro to drama class who had been asking me out every couple of weeks, and I'd been putting him off, and well, he asked me again the Monday after Thanksgiving, and this time I said yes. He had big green eyes, and his name was Steve, and 4 years later I married him. 9-year-old wedding cake. I kept it in my freezer, moved 5 times with it packed in dry ice. It can't taste like much, but that's not the point. Billy asked me to save him a piece. I still love him.
I just asked to see the program to see who was next. It's me. And Sopan. Test, test, test. So, Sopan and I met in earnest a few weeks ago. And all I knew about Sopan was that he was an extraordinary pianist. And I said to him, so what is your favorite kind of experience on stage while playing? And Sopan said, well, I don't know what you call it. It's like when a funny thing happens and then you get to sort of tease someone through the music on stage. And he said, I think it's sort of like trolling. Like trolling his fellow musicians. And then I thought, oh, Sopan and I are going to have fun. So typically when I worked on this project before, I just brought a piece of text that I knew and collaborated with the wildly talented Luis, and I thought, well, I'm going to start differently this time and ask Sopan what text resonates with him, what piece of writing has been meaningful in his life. And without missing a beat, Sopan said, oh, I'm a Potterhead. I don't know if you know this, but I'm also the executive and artistic director of the Weidner Center. Tickets for Harry Potter live in concert go on sale. Firms on February 16th. So I saw a marketing opportunity, but more importantly, I started thinking about my relationship to Harry Potter. And I had the great joy of having a foster child to whom I read the first 3 books of Harry Potter out loud. And for those of you who have children in your lives that you have read those books to, it is such a beautiful bonding experience to live through those adventures together. So I started pouring through the books, trying to find passages that might make sense, and then I thought, well, who in the world is going to get up on a stage and try to perform these characters that have been like indelibly set in all of our minds by the most iconic actors in the world in these films? So I scratched that idea. So I went back to Sopan and he said, no, it's the end of book 1. Harry, Hermione, and Ron, thank you. Ron, lady. Harry, Hermione, and Ron have to go through 7 challenges at the end of book 1. And so Sopan's idea was that we would represent the challenges musically. Sopon will represent the challenges musically. My job is merely to set up the context for what has been described as the leveling up as they go through these. So that's the premise for what we're going to do here, and we'll see how it goes. Level 1, the dog. As the door creaked, low, rumbling growls met their ears. All three of the dog's noses sniffed madly in their direction, even though it couldn't see them. "What's that at its feet?" Hermione whispered. "Looks like a harp," said Ron. "Snape must have left it there." "It must wake up the moment you stop playing," said Harry. "Well, here goes." He lowered himself through the hole until he was hanging on by his fingertips. Harry let go. Cold, damp air rushed past him as he fell down, 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 and Ron followed right away. He landed sprawled next to Harry. The distant music stopped. There was a loud bark from the dog, but Hermione had already jumped. She landed on Harry's other side. Level 2, the plant. Hermione leapt up and struggled toward a damp wall. She had to struggle because the moment she landed, the plant had started to twist snake-like tendrils around her ankles. As for Harry and Ron, their legs had already been bound tightly in long creepers without their noticing. "Stop moving!" Hermione ordered them. "I know what this is. It's Devil's Snare." "This way," said Harry, pointing down a stone passageway, which was the only way forward. Level 3, the birds. They reached the end of the passageway and saw before them a brilliantly lit chamber, its ceiling arching high above them. It was full of small, jewel-bright birds, fluttering and tumbling all around the room. On the opposite side of the chamber was a heavy wooden door. Hermione's cheers echoed around the high chambers. They landed quickly, and Harry ran to the door. Ready? Harry asked the other two, his hand on the door handle. They nodded. He pulled the door open. Level 4. The chessboard. They were standing on the edge of a huge chessboard, behind the black chessmen, which were all taller than they were and carved from what looked like black stone. Facing them, way across the chamber, were the white pieces. Harry, Ron, and Hermione shivered slightly. The towering white chessmen had no faces. Now what do we do? Harry whispered. It's obvious, isn't it? Said Ron. We've got to play our way across the room. Took off his crown and threw it at Harry's feet. They had won. Level 5. The Troll. They had reached another door. A distinguishing smell filled their nostrils, making both of them pull their robes up over their noses. Eyes watering, they saw flat on the floor in front of them a troll even larger than the one they had tackled, out cold with a bloody whelp on its head. I'm glad we don't have to fight that one, Harry whispered as they stepped carefully over one of its massive legs. Come on, I can't breathe. He pulled open the next door. Level 6. Potions. What do we have to do? Hermione seized a roll of paper lying next to the bottles.
you will always find some on Nettle Wine's left side. Second, different are those who stand at either end, but if you move onward, neither is your friend. Third, as you see clearly, all are different size. Neither dwarf nor giant holds death in their insides. Fourth, the second left and second on the right are twins once you taste them, though different at first sight. Harry took a deep breath and picked up the smallest bottle. He turned to face the black flames. "Here I come," he said, and he drained the little bottle in one gulp. For a moment, he could see nothing but dark fire. Then he was on the other side, in the last chamber. Level 7. The mirror. It was the mirror of Erised. "This mirror is the key to finding the stone." Harry walked toward him. "I must lie," he thought desperately. "I must look and lie about what I see, that's all." He saw his reflection, pale and scared looking at first. But a moment later, the reflection smiled back at him. It put its hand into its pocket and pulled out a blood-red stone. It winked and put the stone back in its pocket. And as it did so, Harry felt something heavy drop into his real pocket. Somehow, incredibly, he's gotten the stone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa. Whoa. My name is Noah Simon. This is my friend Michael Dewhirst. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be performing for you a song/poem by an award-winning local hip-hop musician and poet named Cujo.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah, word. Cujo is not able to be with us tonight because he's supporting his wife at her yoga class. So, we're hoping this is being recorded so we can play it for him. All right, awesome. Let's just do it. Alpha Centauri. Sometimes I get lost in a wish that I could blast off in a spaceship 5 light years away from here like Alpha Centauri, just to go in search of intelligent life, because at times I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of stupidity. Hypocrisy, don't you see? It really bothers me. The next cliche phrase that grazes my eardrums could very well be the death of me, but I'm truly believing in the reason for breathing and breeding, pushing back for our survival from season to season. We got to rise up from the floor, broken and bleeding, and seize what is ours, our birthright humanity. Trust, peace, prosperity. This insanity has gone on long enough. But if we're going all in, it better not be no bluff, because the powers that be, the cowards that be, ain't throwing flowers at me. No limit to their weaponry. So ain't no need to rise up in arms. Just open your palms. But don't you dare let them put the clamp on your tongue. So rise up, stand up, fire up, man up. And if you believe we're one people, put your hands up. It may be our only viable path to success. Because when you raise up in arms, you're labeled terrorist. You disappear, just a black bag where a man stood. Military tribunals and the media destroyed. Deceit enjoyed by the masses. These people are employed. The fourth branch of the government. Report, distortion, distort, proportion, record, contortion for public record, distract, abortion. Contact Mrs. Torsion, your friendly conservative politician, who makes her living on lies or attacks our backs, and the cut she's given by lobbyists under the racks, behind closed doors. Backyard deals like schoolyard steals. Democrats, liberals hold the applause, because party lines are drawn with meticulous precision, with malicious intent to conquer by division. So rise up, stand up, fire up, man up. And if you believe we're one people, put your hands up. Loud issues brought to the front line, carefully selected, drilled into our minds for their flashiness and divisiveness, because consciousness and enlightenment got them biting and nibbling on their fingertips. Because ain't no room for arguing with actual facts. Scarcity of water and the kids whose backs we built this country upon each and every day, while we stuff our faces and delightfully pay 99 cents for something that came from a million miles away. We bring it to town and pass it around and look at each other and say, my God, what a convenience, what a marvelous age, without 1 second to question the true price that was paid. Foreign economies demolished, families ruined, multinationalization, global corporatization causing strife, move towards localization of food for a sustainable life. So rise up, stand up, fire up, man up. And if you believe we're one people, put your hands up.
again, thank you all for being here tonight. We have one more piece for you. Before we do that, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. The next 6:30 concert series event is actually downtown. We start and end at the Tarleton Theater, and it's an interactive walking concert. So come on down. Everyone's registering that for a moment. Yes, please come on down, and instructions will be provided, but you will be the music if you join us. So that's in December. Information about that coming out very soon. I also want to mention that the Studio One lounge is available after the performance, and some of the performers will be there if you'd like to connect and talk about what you've heard tonight. As we continue here, and before we continue here, I just want to say one more thing, and that is thank you to the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences for the support of the 6:30 series, as well as the Weidner, that all of the collaborative work that goes into this makes these evenings possible. We have one final performance. This is called MRI for a Bullet Yet to Arrive, which is set in an MRI machine. The poetry was written by Chuck Rybak and will be performed by both Chuck Rybak and myself. Music was created and will be performed by myself and Adam Gaines. And the only other context that you need for this work is that it refers to a recent American historical event where one of the parties present, a child, was wearing a Batman shirt.
Everything's tentative.
Charles, are you comfortable? Before we begin the MRI, would you like to listen to music?
Sure. How about jazz? That would be cool. I like jazz. Maybe someone like...
Excellent. Charles, this is how it's going to go. Let's place these headphones over your earplugs. It gets loud in there. We'll set this little helmet on you, load you into the tube, and all you need to do is play dead for about 25 minutes. Can you do that?
Yeah. Only metaphorically. But, I mean,
Well, if you're not afraid of tight spaces, fantastic. You will hear my voice during the process. That is me checking in. Squeeze this trigger if you need assistance.
just once, to win, to be in the feature film as the star, a tough guy with a jagged scar, staring into the camera to let some poor schmo know this is how it's going to go. And be 100% bulletproof correct, not checked and pent up in a tiny cell, or thumped out of town by the loud, don't tread on me crowd. Just once to bravely free a dying community using only a ukulele to strum and pick false promise into prophecy. How does that saying go? The only thing that stops a bad guy with a ukulele is a good guy with a ukulele. Just once, to turn every gun into an outdoor cat, the kind that are hard to hold, to carry around, all claw, their furry, squirming spines with a divine need for ground. Just music and purr and fur, no muzzles and stops, sitting quiet as space, exploding, big bang, pointed pieces, rioting outward with hate and pace, bodies speeding toward bodies, but with sighted guidance at the speed of science. I fear those bodies, fear someday it might spear itself inside my head. As fast as a snap, I cease to be. To fear this, is there something wrong with me? Like in John Keats's poetry, the famous sonnet, the first stanza says, this is how it's going to go. Turn all bullets to liquid. Tiny squibs of water that we soak up together instead of the brain matter that forms these pieces of words, this fantasy heard, moving from the brain outward, rather than the reverse, where all the words hiding inside my head's tiny hearses are visible on a screen in high zoom on the live feed in a distant room. But the bullets are now water. After we finish, we wipe our sweaty brows, wring the towels, boil the absorbed water from mac and cheese. See? Only food will emerge from this purge. Fill children's mouths. Fill the houses deep in their stomachs with living warmth. Or maybe transform every held gun into a hummingbird, hovering in the sun, invisible motion pointed at open-mouthed flowers. The bullet, hours and hours away from my head. If it were already here, this procedure would fail. The irony, you can't carry anything metal into this giant machine made of metal. But you could bring a hummingbird to float beside your loaded head on the sliding bed, mind wandering again to the Keats sonnet, a mantra I silently recite every night when I need light to move forward, when I'm lost, to take a dead reckoning. Like, what does he say? Like, when he writes,
Charles, you're doing great. You're comes to being a person who does not move, you excel at being a body. Not much longer now.
But it, the bullet, will meet me eventually. Right now, it probably sits unowned by person and purpose unknown. Maybe in a square box on a shelf, harmless by itself, in a store where you can also buy bread, cookies for kids, and their birthday party at school. The class, huddled, close, snug like the bullets in the box, waiting for the pop, the opening of a gift. What did we sing as kids to determine who was it? Bullet, bullet, number 9, moving down the victim's line. If the shot my skull should crack, will I get my playthings back? Or maybe the bullet has yet to be made, unlathed and unworn, just like children who have yet to be born, who remain the mere idea and trace of their first Halloween costume and their first pretend face. The paths are set, even as body and bullet have not yet met, but are turning toward each other, toward intersection, transformation, as when the Columbine was still a perennial flower, but then bruised open into the first red and purple flesh of what we now accept. The finished yearbooks of 1998, 99 don't include most likely to survive. Now, nothing is just a Columbine. Maybe I'll be in the market, mundane beneath Muzak, reaching for cornflakes, the Uncle Sam cereal set aside, when we at last collide, the bullet in my head that we now scan for far too early, like we have only read the first movement of a physics problem. A train leaves the station, a bullet leaves its metal wound, the final sentence arriving soon, just a platform away, a tomb of mass and acceleration. We will know when to solve for X, when someone asks us, how many of us are left? In truth, the bullet is already here, inside, but not inside my head, because things are often present where they are not. The quantum tragedy, the not so superposition, like love being a condition that doesn't include the loved ones, like when Keats wrote his own eternal ending in 6 small lines.
You're killing it. You're the stiff of all stiffs, just fab on the slab. You could be posing for a portrait, just a bit longer. Don't worry, that's all the time you have left.
Our children dress as superheroes. you are adults, marching in and out of movie houses, multiverses, but even the open mind allows only one timeline. So the truth is that Batman died in first grade, wearing his sigil. He lied down on the floor when a classroom door opened in Newtown and cut him down. Mr. and Mrs. Wayne divorced, of course, like many couples who lose a Cape Crusader. No unity in our continuity. They are not killed in an alley one Gotham night in front of a frightened young son. The sun does not grow to know the life of the good fight. We live in the backwards. There are no heroes because needing to save people is the norm. Mrs. Wayne adopts a new name. The city has changed. What is left to protect? PIN numbers? Passwords? The supercomputers peeking from our small pockets? There is no face to punch, no riddle to solve. One trigger finger may die, but a million triggers stand by. How do you stop the stock and steal and sin of an unchecked army behind an acronym? Without Batman, all we have are drills. My childhood practice was for bombs. Bombs, not bullets. A brisk walk into a basement built for pipes. A long, long dark night. And whatever would matter come the day after. So don't search the sky for his signal. Don't look. Do not look. Batman died at Sandy Hook.
Charles, you're a still life. Pear on table, bowl of aging fruit. Did you know that Da Vinci mastered the body alone at the morgue? Each beautiful sketch fetched from dead muscle and bone.
This is how it's going to go. Trade every gun for a small plot of land on which we plant life by hand. Varieties of natural death, leaves and trees and seeds eroding into the ground, shooting from the soil in muted violence, prettier than the gunpowder that lies behind my eyes. Whatever illness resides inside my head denies me a love for guns, a love for the automatic mouths that cough their one-sound language, repeated note after note until all their throats are empty. To not love such a reality, unfortunately, means there's something wrong with me. One of the new teachers at my children's school is gay, so someone called in a bomb threat today as I sit and write these very words. What else is there to say? They are afraid, and I'm not there. They are afraid, while I sit at home, working on a poem. I have a frontal lobe filled with fine white islands, more each year. The cause of it all, the fear, the headaches, the reserved space for a bullet still at rest, somewhere out there waiting for Flint to spark a man's rage, his dull manifesto. If we planted actual bullets, watered them like seeds, what would grow? Weeping willows. Yet the branches would not only limply reach the ground, but reach it, disappear down into it, joining as one with the roots. Root and branch, an unbroken circuit of reason.
Charles, I am so proud of you. I know you are alive in there because I understand the process. An audience would have no idea, would they? This could be anything. A production where a body does nothing but play dead, and why can't he move? Because his brain is in the other room, get it? In fact, I'm looking at it right now.
But the white islands in my brain, an archipelago of tropical migraines, these white islands in my head are all our islands, reserving a place to warmly welcome projectile families into our space. And in that moment, images and noise, the sound of jazz that you can almost hear, its promise as warm and close and snug as a horn put away, locked and safe inside its perfect case. I don't know how to say this in a poem, in pretty images or metaphors, knockdown spondies of knockdown violence in the impests of our peace. I don't know how to say what's simple, but this is how it's going to go. I don't want people to get shot anymore. People believe we cannot be free unless we die all the time, which is like saying we cannot have poetry if it does not rhyme. This desire aches in my head, a bullet of its own, turning into more bullets, white matter on a brain image. There are no pills for this. fear, the idea, is what fills my head with excess blood from my heart. And to set it free, a neighbor aims to blast my skull apart. Just wants to win, to be in the feature film as the star, a tough guy with a jagged scar, staring into the camera to let some poor schmo know this, and I mean this, is how it's going to go. Then all guns turn into branches and bloom.
That's it, Charles. You're finished now. I will unload you from the chamber.
This is how it's going to go. 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 This is how it's going to go.
You did great. Let me unstrap you and get these headphones off. Then you can sit up.
Sounds good.
You can put your earplugs in this wastebasket. Do you need a few seconds before you stand up?
No, I might have fallen asleep. Was I snoring?
No snoring. But if you did doze off, you talk in your sleep. Do you talk in your sleep?
Maybe, but I don't really talk that much.
Great. Let's go out into this room. Here's your locker key. Basically, just get dressed and then be on your way. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
And Charles, be safe out there. Be safe out there. Be safe. For all that remains will be our voices.